Yo, vintage got the boom back.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Savvy Weekly Show with your host, Steve D'Angelo, presented by the Face Off Sports Network. We are here for Week 16 NFL picks. We just had a couple games get played. We'll recap those games real quick. Also, briefly talk about the Thursday night game. We got college football playoffs going on right now. Ohio State up 7-0, just threw another bomb to the 3-yard line against Tennessee. All these home teams seem to be dominating so far. Notre Dame, Texas, Penn State earlier. So think about it. It's you got college football home field advantage plus the factor of one and done at home. So the juice, the pressure is even more. So like the home field advantage just seems to be absolutely huge for these teams. And also, a lot of these teams are playing out of conference. So new styles, they don't really know how to react. I mean, we saw Ohio State lose to Michigan 13-10, but that's a rivalry game. Now they get a nice bounce back. So they look like they're in cruise control right now, about to score. But anyway, Week 16 picks. We're in the semifinals of the fantasy football playoffs. Absolutely monster week of fantasy football. So if you guys want to jump in the comments and ask anything fantasy football related, I'm here for it. You want to talk some NFL picks? You want to talk some prop bets? You want to talk some DFS? You want to talk college football playoffs? You want to talk college basketball? Whatever you want to talk, I'm here for it. But thanks for joining me tonight, guys. Make sure you are liking, subscribing, sharing the show, hitting the notification button, and you can follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. So let's go over our record for the year. We are 63, 64-1, 49.6% on the year. Last year, we were 54.5% all the way through the Super Bowl, hitting that over 52.5%, which is, once you're over 52.5%, you're cashing. 4-4 last week. We had Miami that lost, the Miami Texans over that didn't win. We had the Jets -3 that hit, Giants 16 that big underdog against the Ravens. That didn't hit, but we had the Bills and we had the over against the Lions. Those both hit. Bills absolutely and the over have covered now the past 2 weeks in a row. We had the Packers on Sunday night that covered, but we didn't have the over. So we ended up 4-4 for the week. But we've been pretty good down the stretch. Since week 8, we were 8-3. Week 9, we were 7-4. Week 10, 3-3. Week 11, 3-1. Week 12 was our one hiccup that kind of threw a wrench in our record at 1-7. And then week 13, 6-3. Week 14, 5-3. Week 15 last week, 4-4. So still are not over 50%. We were only over 50% once this year, but we're picking all the way through the Super Bowl. We got 3 weeks left in the regular season as well. So plenty of time to cash, plenty of time, and again, we've been better of late. So we have 5 more picks tonight. So stay with us. We'll come back on the other side. We're going to recap these games. Then we'll get into these picks. I just want to read this off to you guys before we get into this. A couple quotes. I did this last week and I kind of like it. So the first one is from John Madden, and the Madden documentary is out. I watched the first episode. It was pretty interesting. The guy actually worked for Steve Jobs and Apple, And he's a big computer guy, but he loved football and he like created his own football game. And obviously I've been playing Madden my whole life. It was like the first game I ever picked up in Genesis, like 1992, and loved the game. Don't play as much now. I was in a Madden league last couple of years, ever since the pandemic. I mean, the years prior, I was always in Madden leagues, and I quit for a while. In the pandemic, I picked it up again. This year, I haven't played as much. But anyway, he says the only yardstick for success our society has is being a champion. No one remembers anything else. And then Howard Cosell says, the famous sports broadcaster, sports is the toy department of human life. And today was truly a great sports day. We have another bunch of games tomorrow. And as we head into the holidays, tons of great football, basketball, even if you're hockey, we got college basketball, NBA. So we'll come back on the other side. We'll recap these games from earlier today. Maybe we'll dive into the Thursday night game. We'll get into the NFL picks. We'll take your questions. Steve D'Angelo, Fantasy Savvy weekly show on the Face Off Sports Network. Like, subscribe, follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. Let's go. Welcome to the Fantasy Savvy Weekly Show with your host, Steve D'Angelo, presented by the Face Off Sports Network, discussing high-stakes fantasy football, waiver, fab, free agent pickups, NFL picks, and more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, a couple of people in the chat. Peter Elsey says out due to two old men, Gus Edwards and Kareem Hunt. Gus Edwards falls into the end zone. Kareem Hunt had a pretty nice day today, but there's plenty of football left, man. Don't count yourself out yet. I'm sure you got a nice team. You're in the semifinals. Our boy Jamie says, "Sup, dude? What's up, Jamie?" Jamie drops that cornerback receiver article every single week. Drop the link in there, Jamie, so everybody can check it out. And then Coach from the FF Mediator says, you do not want this college football 25 smoke. Let's play, man. I've only played maybe like 15, 60 games, but pretty solid. I took care of Pete pretty easily. Pete was not really anything. Pete was running the Army playbook. And he quit the first game we played, and then we played again, and I smacked him around again with Notre Dame both times. He played with Clemson the first game, Michigan the second game. But yeah, man, let's do it. It'll be fun. Let's try to hook that up. And then our boy Al says, "Sup, Steven? The college football game really is an awesome game. I've actually played that more than Madden this year. I've only played like 2 or 3 games of Madden. I've played like 15, 20 games of the college football." So let's get into the games. Thursday night, real quick, we'll go over. Chargers take care of business 34-27. The story here is, again, Gus Edwards gets into the end zone twice, 14 for 68. The Gus bus breaks off that big 43-yard run. Ladd McConkey keeps it going, 6 for 87 on 6 targets. Stone Smart, maybe you started him 3 for 37 in a desperate situation. But Justin Herbert, how about that throw to Darius Davis, rolling to the left? Freaking opposite freaking way of his body, freaking beautiful throw. Justin Herbert, and like he's kind of had the history of not coming up in big spots in his career, and the Chargers, always kind of seem to fold. But under Jim Harbaugh, it just seems to completely change. Brandon Staley, once again, he just didn't know what the hell he was doing out there. And Jim Harbaugh comes over, and it just shows you how good of a leader and a good head coach he is. And Herbert, man, very, very good performance here. 284, 2 touchdowns, also runs for another 28 yards. So pretty nice fantasy day for him. Bo Nix has another nice fantasy day, 29 for 40, 263, 2 touchdowns. Estime, 9 for 48 and a touchdown. So we'll see if that continues with Estime going forward. Javonte Williams has been a huge disappointment. We even saw a little bit of Blake Watson, the rookie, I believe, out of Memphis, get involved as well. We really haven't seen him all year. Marvin Mims, 3 for 62. Cortland Sutton, the leading receiver, just 5 for 50, but decent. At least he gives you 10 points in a PPR. Although Javonte did catch 7 balls for 29 yards. I mean, that's an absolute joke. Again, I don't like that. Like, I feel like if you catch 7 balls, you should at least average like 5 yards per per catch. Like he averaged 4. I don't know. It just seems like cheesy points. That's why the one thing I hate about PPR. But it is what it is. But yeah, the Broncos go to 9-6. Chargers go to 9-6. Nice win from them at home. They sweep the regular season series against Denver. And then earlier today, we see, first off, I want to say prayers up to Tank Dell. This guy last year, broken fibula. He was, and I believe in that game when he broke that fibula, he was having a monster game and he got hurt and he was on his way to another monster game. And you could kind of see like it was Stroud did have 2 bad picks today, but he kind of was like, kind of looked like last year's Stroud a little bit, going downfield more, a little bit more fluid, a little bit more cohesive. And he was getting Tank Dell involved. Tank Dell, before he gets that gruesome injury, looked like a dislocated or like some kind of break. The bone was popping out of his knee, kind of ugly. 6 for 98 and a touchdown. That was like early in the third quarter. Like if he would have played the whole game, he could have had another touchdown. Maybe he finishes with 8-9 catches for 130, 40 yards. And I did actually put him in one of my shootout lineups, which was good. Nico, decent day, 7 for 60. Schultz has a nice day, 5 for 45. Joe Mixon, he's kind of fallen off down the stretch here a little bit, 14 for 57. Had that nice 22-yard run. So we'll see. Mechie didn't play today. Xavier Hutchinson never does anything when he's out there. Robert Woods is so old. So this could be a spot for Mechie to kind of, step up if he can come back next week and play in the absence of Tank Dell. Obviously, this helps Dalton Schultz now as well. So he's back on the fantasy radar as a possible consistent option. And then Mahomes, pretty decent day, 260, just the 1 touchdown. He runs for 33 yards and a touchdown as well. Kareem Hunt, 11 for 55 and a touchdown. And he catches 2 for 24. Pacheco, I mean, I don't know what they're doing. He doesn't, you know what? He doesn't really look the same. He doesn't look as healthy. I think he had a broken fibula last year too, similar to Tony Pollard. He just doesn't look as explosive. He doesn't look like as physical of a runner. He's going down a little bit easier, just 2.9 yards per carry. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to get it going in the playoffs, and then Hunt's still involved. And remember, Hunt came back to Andy Reid, after Pacheco went down. He said, "I will not disappoint you." And he hasn't. I mean, Hunt's been solid all year. So, I kind of thought Pacheco would kind of take the lead, but it still hasn't happened. Hunt is just staying involved, and I just don't really see that changing with the way Pacheco's looked. He really hasn't looked that great. Worthy is playing better, and he's getting more consistent. This is similar, not as quite as good as obviously as Rashee Rice last year in his rookie year, but Worthy is starting to really pick it up. 7 for 65, gets into the end zone again, 11 targets. So good sign for Worthy the rest of the way, I think, even with the presence of Hollywood Brown. And look at Hollywood Brown in his first game back, 5 for 45, catches a long of 20, has 8 targets. So next week, I mean, depending on what your options are, I don't mind using Hollywood Brown. I feel like he could have another decent week. Next week, they take on the Steelers in Pittsburgh. We saw Joey Porter go down with an injury today. I don't know what happened there, but we'll see if he comes back next week. DeAndre Hopkins just 4 for 37. He's been kind of underwhelming. Travis Kelce, once again, disappoints, 5 for 30. Noah Gray, he's 5 touchdowns in 5 games, doesn't do anything today, just 1 for 10. And then Mahomes, he did miss some more throws today, missed a deep shot to Worthy. I think that Watson pass, I guess that maybe it was, I don't know. I have to see that again. It seemed like Watson could have came down with it, but maybe that was a little bit overthrown as well. But yeah, the Chiefs take care of business. They were 4-point favorites. Mahomes had that possible ankle injury, but he didn't really look injured. He's running for 33 yards. So, maybe they shot him up with something. They said it was a mild high ankle. And again, high ankle is different for a quarterback than it is for a running back or receiver. They don't have to make as many cuts. They don't have to run as much. They're much more protected. So either way, Mahomes is out there. They just got to win one more. They win next week. They have home field advantage the rest of the way against Pittsburgh. We'll see if Pittsburgh gets George Pickens back. I believe that game is on Christmas. Yes, 1:00. and then they finish off with the Broncos last game of the year. So could they lose the next two? They could, but you would expect them to at least win one and get that home field advantage the rest of the way. All right. So other game today we saw just finished a little while ago was Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Pittsburgh again without George Pickens. But Russ, I thought did a pretty good job. Baltimore's secondary has been brutal all year. Throws for 217, the 2 touchdowns. The killer was the pick six. That was the killer, obviously. That changed the game completely, especially after that came after Lamar's interception where he had Zay Flowers open in the end zone. He didn't see him. Could have been 4 touchdowns to Lamar, but Lamar just threw the ball 23 times today, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, just 1 pick. Derrick Henry doesn't get into the end zone, but goes 24 for $162. He was running all over the place. And then Zay Flowers, 5 for 100. Nice day for him, 8 targets. Again, could have had a bigger day if Lamar saw him in the end zone. Andrews gets into the end zone, 4 for 37. So does Likely. He starts off the day with a touchdown, 3 for 29. And then Henry, 2 for 27, catches that 1 screen pass. I feel like you got to give Derrick Henry at least 1 or 2 screen passes a game. Just to get him in that open field and just get him with momentum, able to barrel guys over. I feel like that should just be in your playbook every single week on your play sheet, 1 or 2 times a week. And it seems like it's always pretty effective. And then Bateman, just 1 catch for 14, but scores again, now 8 touchdowns on the year. And Bateman, I feel like he's fairly trustworthy. With the way Lamar's tossing the rock, there was a beautiful pass in the left corner of the end zone and a nice little route by Bateman as well. Calvin Austin, 4 for 65. Nice ball by Russ there, 44-yard pass. Jalen Warren, 5 for 44. The rest is pretty insignificant. Freiermuth, disappointing day. 3 straight games with a touchdown, just 3 for 16 today. Cordell Patterson catches a touchdown, and Michael Pruitt catches a touchdown. So, and then also Russ did lose a fumble today as well. And that scramble, he thought he was going to beast mode a little bit too much adrenaline there, took over, got a little over his head. Big fumble there as well that changed the game. So those 2 turnovers definitely changed the game. I mean, the Pittsburgh could have, they were tied up at one point in this game. Those 2 turnovers were the difference. Obviously, the pick six was killer. But hopefully they get Pickens back. I mean, Pickens down the stretch. I mean, this is 3 weeks straight now he's been out. I mean, the guy was on his way to having a nice, really, really nice year, nice fantasy season. So, I mean, I had Pickens on a lot of my teams. I mean, I can't do anything with him. It's hurt some of my teams for sure. In a matchup like today, he really could have had a nice game. We're seeing Calvin Austin go for 65. What would Pickens do in this type of game? He probably went up for 100, maybe a touchdown. So, very, very disappointing, for sure. And Joe Carlton says 7 catches for 29 yards from Javonte sounds like Jarvis Landry. That does sound like Jarvis Landry. Oh my God. He was the king of freaking catches, those little dinky catches. 6, 7 catches for 30, 40 yards all day long. Our boy Zach Litton says, yo. And he says, Kincaid, ETN, Jennings, Judy, when you get a chance, need 2. Well, I'm going ETN and I'm going Jennings. Kincaid looked pretty good last week, but it's not really a great game script. Buffalo could just be running away with this in the second half. Lots of runs with Ray Davis and Ty Johnson and James Cook. So, and then Judy has Dorian Thompson-Robinson, so he's hard to trust. And Jennings against Miami, could be a little bit of a sneaky shootout. I think Purdy should bounce back a little bit this week. I'm not crazy about Jennings. And then ETN, there goes Travion Henderson for a touchdown, 21-0. Ohio State, absolutely dominating. Travion Henderson, I believe. I've only played with Notre Dame in college football with Love. I think he has 93 speed. Travion Henderson, I believe, has 98 speed. So maybe I should try him out. But yeah. Jennings looks good. There's Zach. And ETN, that's a weird game. But he did take the carries over Bigsby last week against the Raiders this week. So it's a good spot, good game script. I think I'd go with ETN and Jennings there over Judy and Kincaid. Yeah, I agree with Joe. ETN's a pretty good play this week. It's a good matchup. Mac Jones is not playing bad. He's doing a decent job. I mean, Brian Thomas is helping him move the ball. Brenton Strange, monster game last week. He's been tight end 8 without Ingram in the lineup. Huge game last week, obviously, and he's pretty talented in his own right. So, Tennessee's getting freaking ripped right now. These home teams just dominating in this college football playoff. But yeah, there you go, Zach. All right, first pick of the week. We got 5 picks this week. And what we like to do here, sort of like, and if you're live in your survivor pools still, like I am, you're betting against shitty quarterbacks, because you're running out of good teams to pick. You're probably gonna have to pick some losing record teams. And that's what we're doing here. We are going to go. Let me just bring this baby up real quick. First pick, week 16. Is going to be the Bengals -9.5 against the freaking Browns at home in Cincinnati against Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is like on Desmond Ridder level throwing the ball. It's just all over the place. Now, I did like him coming out of UCLA. He was a good player there, good scrambler. Was a pretty decent passer, but he's just not really ready for the NFL. Cedric Tillman's out once again, so it's gonna be Judy, Elijah Moore. I don't even know about Njoku yet. I don't know if he's gonna make his way back. It sounds like he's gonna be out as well, so that hurts. Chubb is out. Not like Chubb's been great. Myles Garrett, talking like he wants to win a championship. So anyway, the Bengals are still vying for that last playoff spot. They're going to play their asses off. This is against Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They've taken care of business the last couple games against Cleveland. Last year in January, 31-14. And then earlier this year, 21-14 in Cleveland. They won by 7. So 9.5 spread. Actually, you can catch 8.5 on FanDuel. Also can catch 8.5 on Bet365. So we're going to go Bengals -8.5 here against Cleveland and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I just think that the Bengals take care of business here with Joe Burrow, Lou Anarumo against Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They should win this game by at least 10, I would think. Again, I mean, we saw Dorian Thompson-Robinson beat Brock Purdy and the Niners last year at home. But that's when the Browns defense was playing really good football. They're just not the same defense. They're 3-11. They're 4-10 against the spread. They're 1-6 on the road. The Bengals are 8-6 against the spread. So that's going to be pick number 1. Bengals -8.5. Once again, FanDuel and Bet365. All right, second game. And this is going to be an over-under. And we've been taking the Jets the past couple games. And last week they covered against Jacksonville. But we're not taking the Jets this week at home against the Rams, getting 3. We have a different pick here on the over. So we're going to go over 46.5. Rodgers is getting it going the past couple of weeks. He's finding his boy Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson bitching and complaining. Not really. I wouldn't say bitching and complaining. He's just kind of depressed. The team sucks. Adams kind of stole his shine a little bit. He's not getting the targets he wants. He's, he feels like he's better than this. He wants to get his stats going. So maybe Rodgers kind of throws him a bone this week, gets him a little bit more involved. I hope so. I got him in a couple big spots this week. And I think a lot of people are probably using Garrett Wilson this week. Tyler Conklin's coming back this week. I don't know how much that helps, but better than Jeremy Ruckert. Breece Hall seems like he's a little bit healthier as well. And the Jets defense is just, they're not playing good football. I mean, they're getting torched. Third most points allowed to quarterbacks the last 8 weeks. And now in comes Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, and Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, and Sean McVay into East Rutherford, New Jersey in the Meadowlands. And I feel like this could be a little bit of a shootout. It's just going to be cold. There's no crazy weather here. Very light winds, just going to be cold. So, could that mess up the LA boys a little bit? Probably not. I don't think it's going to be a huge thing. So I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a shootout. I feel like we can easily get over that 46.5 number with Aaron Rodgers and Stafford going at it. So I see like maybe a 27-20, maybe a 28-21, 28-24, 24-20, something like that. So let's go over here. Rams, Jets in MetLife, Sunday, 1 o'clock for pick 2. Pick 3, we're going to the 4 o'clocks now. We got a couple big favorites now in the 4 o'clock session. And I don't normally like to take big favorites like this, but these two I think make sense. And I'll kind of explain my reasoning as we go through these. But the first one, we're going to take Buffalo minus 14 against New England at home. Now, Buffalo's absolutely, Josh Allen's playing lights out the last 2 weeks, especially against the Rams in Detroit. Their defense let up 44 to the Rams, 42 to the Lions, and Allen had to throw the ball left and right. They destroyed San Francisco on that snowy Sunday night game, 35-10. They took care of the Chiefs, 30-21. That last scramble on 4th down by Josh Allen takes care of business. He's the clear MVP, minus 900. Lamar is playing excellent football, even better than last year. But Josh Allen's been better. And even last year, Josh Allen's numbers were better, but Lamar had a better record, even though Josh Allen had better numbers than Lamar last year. It's just that Lamar had that defense. The Baltimore defense was much better last year, so it helped with the record. But anyway, Josh Allen should win the MVP. And, they're still playing for that number 1 seed. They've clinched the division, but they still want to try to get that number 1 seed. And could this be a little bit of a letdown here at home? I don't think so. This team is they're just rolling. Again, they're still playing for number 1 seed. It's very important to get the bye. They want that as much as they can. They're still alive for it. The Chiefs still have to win one more game. So it's still alive. And these games, the past couple of years between New England and Buffalo have been fairly close. We remember that playoff game, against Tom Brady, or maybe it was Mac Jones, rather. Mac Jones with Buffalo just absolutely, it was Mac Jones. Buffalo just absolutely torched them. I think they scored on every single possession. Allen went for 308 yards, 5 touchdowns, 21 of 25 for 308 yards. But Drake May, he's doing a decent job. A lot of his stats are kind of coming a little bit of garbage time, but they lost 34-15 at Miami. They lost 30-17 at Arizona. So a 13-point spread. They lost by 13 Arizona. They lost by freaking 29 to freaking Miami. So are they going to lose? Are they going to lose to freaking, are they going to lose to the Bills? By 14 or more? I think so. I think Buffalo blows them out here. 15, 16, 17-point win. This game could get really, really ugly. This could be a lot of Ray Davis, freaking Ty Johnson in the second half, just running similar to that Miami game we saw on Thursday night earlier in the year. between Buffalo and Miami when Tua, that was the game Tua got hurt, but they were dominating that whole game. And then we just saw, basically just ran the ball the whole second half. Allen didn't really have to do much. So hopefully for fantasy purposes, Allen could still get you 2-3 touchdowns before this game gets out of hand. But New England, Jared Mayo, first year coach, they don't have much on offense. Their offense of weapons are very underwhelming. Drake May maybe kind of keeps him a little bit, but I expect McDermott and company to just really confuse him, stop this offense. They're not going to stop Josh Allen. So it's a big spread, but we're going to go Bills minus 14 here. All right, next pick. That's pick 3. Pick 4. We're going to go to Miami now. So from cold ass Buffalo to Miami, Florida. And Miami's taking on 49ers. 49ers are actually favored in this game by 1.5. And I'm going to go with the Niners. I think Brock Purdy, Jawan Jennings, Debo, George Kittle, and that defense without Jalen Waddle, he's doubtful. Tyreek is, practice in a limited fashion on Friday. I don't know what's going on with him. Is it something just, is he bugging out? Is he a little bit hurt? Obviously, his wrist is a little bit banged up. Tua, I just trust the Niners and I trust Shanahan against his former assistant, McDaniels here. I'm not really excited about this pick. It's not one of my better picks of the week, but I just think they go to Miami. They kind of salvage one last chance they possibly have at getting into the playoffs. And so I'll go with San Francisco here, in Miami to take care of business minus 1.5. Just want to look at the playoff picture real quick. I want to see what the percentages are before we get into our last pick, which is going to be the Monday night game. And the Niners, they're pretty much done. I mean, yeah, they're shot. I mean, they have really no chance. They're just playing for pride at this point. The Commanders, it's just everything seems locked up for the most part on both sides. And we were kind of talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Pete and I were doing a underdog playoff draft, and we kind of thought it was kind of locked up. So yeah, the Commanders look like they're in. Even if they lose, they have a 78% chance. If they win this week against Philly somehow, 94%, 3.5-point home underdogs. They're currently at 84%. Seahawks are in a lot of trouble. But if they do win this week, they're 50%. And the Rams lose somehow, they're 45%. So that's like the last one that's kind of up for grabs. The Falcons, they win, they're 38%. Colts, if they win 10%. Dolphins, if they win 9%. There's even if the Bengals win, they're 13%. So it's pretty much locked up. Chiefs, Bills, Steelers, Texans, Ravens, Chargers, Broncos in the AFC. And in the NFC, Lions, Eagles, Vikings, Bucks, Rams, Packers, Commanders. All right, last pick. Then we'll wrap this baby up. We'll get into any questions or anything else you guys want to talk about before we go. Monday Night Football. And again, it's I'm explaining these big spreads here. And the Packers take on the Saints at home. Monday Night Football. Jordan Love against Spencer Rattler. And I mean, the Saints are just so depleted. They might not even have MVS. There's no Taysom Hill. Kamara's hurt. The receivers are absolutely hideous. It's a complete shit show. The Packers should absolutely take care of business here. We're still waiting for one of those big games from Jordan Love where he throws like 3, 4, 5 touchdowns. It could come this week. Maybe Jacob steals a bunch of those touchdowns once again. But yeah, Packers should easily take care of this game. This could be like a 21-point win. It could get really, really ugly. The Packers defense is playing well. Love not playing as good as last year, but at home, Monday Night Football, 14 points. Spencer Rattler, he had that one decent game against Tampa when Tampa's defense was playing a lot worse earlier in the year. but they still lost 51-27. Then he lost 33-10 to Denver, and then he lost 26-8 to the Chargers. And I think Derek Carr came back the next game against Carolina, and they actually lost that game. But Derek Carr is still out. He's got that broken wrist on his non-throwing hand, but it's just, just terrible. The team's shot. Olave, I guess there's a chance he can come back this week, but there's no point in even bringing him back. 14-point dog in Green Bay, cold weather. Does Olave even want to go out there? So let's go Green Bay, -14 for the last pick on Monday night. So week 16 picks, Bengals -8.5 against Dorian Thompson-Robinson in Cleveland. Rams, Jets over 46.5. If you want to buy the hook, you can in the 1 o'clock spot. Buffalo -14, home against New England, trying to get that number 1 seed. 49ers -1.5, going to Miami. And then Packers -14 at home against the Saints and Spencer Rattler on Monday night. So there you go. 5 picks for Monday Night Football. And we got a couple of more comments here. Jamie says, I bet Bengals -23 on DraftKings for +497 odds. Yeah, you could ladder that up with a couple of these too. With the Bills, maybe you could do a ladder with the Bengals, the Bills, and the Packers. That's not a bad one. You probably get really good odds if you bet them all to win over 20 points. That might be like 20-1 or something, 25-1. Dexter Dotson says Tyreek Hill or Jacoby Myers. Tyreek Hill's out there. I got to go Tyreek Hill. Erica Jusarica Taylor. I like it. Eagles game over. Bengals over. I don't know about the Bengals because I don't know what the hell Dorian Thompson-Robinson's going to do. That's a high total too, 46.5. I don't know if I like that one. The Eagles, Washington. I don't mind that one as much. 45. Early in the year, they played 26-18. So 44. So just a point under. But Daniels is healthier this time. Hurts got it going last week. So I kind of like that over a little bit more this week, Erica. Mr. Grapefruit says, what defense do you guys like this week? Philly or Rams D? I don't really like either one. But if I had to pick, I'd probably go with Philly because it's the much better defense. So I'd go with Philly. Joe Carlton says Buffalo defense gets lazy in games like this. I think there's a chance the Pats cover. It's true. They definitely could. It's possible. I just feel like the Bills should put up at least 30 plus points. And yeah, I guess Drake May could backdoor this. You're right. I mean, it's a high spread. It's a little bit risky. Mr. Grapefruit says it's tough defensive slate in DFS. Yeah, not pretty. Yeah, I mean, Falcons 3,700. I don't mind paying up for the defenses though, because the salaries aren't that much of a difference. Like you go from Falcons 3,700, which is the highest on DK, and the lowest is 2,100 with the Patriots. But obviously, you're not going to take the Patriots. The lowest defense I would probably take is maybe the Giants at 2,400. But we don't really know what the hell Penix is going to do. The Bears 2,200. I mean, they've had some success against Goff in the past, sacking him and turning him over. And this game is in Chicago. But obviously, I don't really want to go with those options. I would say the best lowest option on DK for defense for me would be probably the Bengals, 3,300. But again, they're only $400 cheaper than the Falcons, and I'd rather have the Falcons at 3,700. So I might just pay up and go with the Falcons against Drew Lock. Go with the upside there. And then Mr. Grapefruit says Vikings D straight up, maybe. Yeah, I don't mind the Vikings D either. Geno not playing the best. A little bit dinged up, but he's going to be out there. That game was interesting. I was thinking about actually maybe taking Seattle in that game +3. was very, very close to taking that, but I didn't. I could see them maybe playing a little bit better with a fresh Kenny Walker this week, possibly as well. Vikings defense is tough. But I think I'd rather go with the Bengals than the Vikings for 200 less against Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He definitely could fumble the ball a couple times, throw a couple picks. Colt Steed 3,000 against Mason Rudolph isn't bad. Like I said, the freaking Giants defense against Atlanta and Penix, that might not be a bad one because just we don't know what the hell Penix is going to do. And it's not like the Giants defense has been horrible, and they have a pretty decent pass rush. And if you remember Penix in that national championship game against Michigan, he collapsed against their pass rush. Joe Carlton says Packers defense versus depleted Saints offense. Yeah, that's Monday night though, so that's not on the main slate. But yeah, I mean, for the showdown on Monday night, definitely want to get the Packers defense in there in your lineups, 100%. So that's it, guys. If you have anything else, throw it in the chat real quick. If not, make sure you like, subscribe, share. Follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. The guys will be back for one more start sit before the fantasy semifinals tomorrow morning. Ohio State almost scores another touchdown here, but enjoy the games. Have a great week, rest of the weekend. All the best. And we'll be back next Thursday next week is Christmas week. I'm going to be away. So maybe I'll try to get the game in, the picks in on Wednesday. If I can, we'll see what happens. We'll make some announcements, but that's it, guys. Take care. All the best. God bless.